This is now the notes on applied behavioural analysis. This is for week 4. And so there's the reading that you've done from the reading pack, and it's quite easy reading. I think it's really quite clear because they take you through the study of Mickey and his emotional outbursts, and I think it just explains it all very, very well. So the first, and there are some notes that I hope you've copied off so that you can follow those as I go through. Applied behavioural analysis is particularly useful when you're wanting to use music therapy to help someone bring behaviour under control. It's not behaviour in the music therapy session though, it's behaviour somewhere else. So in the example of Mickey, for example, it's the controlling the behaviour in the classroom and also outside in the playground. And so because he likes music therapy and playing guitar, that is kind of the reward for behaving well elsewhere. So it works very well for individuals. You can also do applied behavioural designs for groups of people, but it's much harder to do that because it's better when it's individualised, really. It can also be very useful to use applied behavioural analysis when you can't use the traditional control groups, for example. And it can be useful when groups of individuals have different degrees of severity of a particular diagnosis, like autism or schizophrenia or dementia, where there's mild and moderate and severe. So applied behavioural analysis is quite good where people present very individually. And the last thing to say is that applied behavioural analysis is obviously most commonly used in special school situations. So it's really quite simple. What you do first of all is you define the behaviour. Now I can't tell you how important that is because it's really essential that you define it really, really clearly because you're going to be measuring that behaviour. So for example, I've put the agitated behaviour there. How would you define agitated behaviour? So is it pacing up and down? Is it walking very quickly? Is it standing in one spot and rocking? Is it calling out? Is it something to do with the expression on the face? You'd have to define what exactly you mean by the behaviour first of all. And they did that with Mickey. They looked at his tantrums and his crying and his angry behaviours, and they've defined what they were looking at quite clearly. So under point 2, under the baseline, what you're observing there is the frequency, how often it occurs, the duration, how long that behaviour goes on for, and the direction. Does it increase or decrease? And the intensity. Is it low, medium, severe? Sometimes we take baseline measures using time sampling. So if it's a 30-minute baseline sampling of behaviours in the classroom, then you might take the first 5 minutes and at halfway through and then the last 5 minutes of the session. You should always consider the effects of medication as well. And then the implementation of the intervention has to be done at the same time of day and the same with the same conditions applying. And so then you can look at the behaviours that occur quite simply. So in the book you've got a nice little graph here of, let's see if I can get that up. Okay, sorry, being challenged here. Goes up, there it is. Yay! Nice little graph that shows on the one side the baseline and then what happens to Mickey's behaviour when he has the guitar intervention. And that's just a really simple A-B design. A, baseline, B, guitar intervention. Simple. So then what you can do is take away the guitar and see whether the child, in this case Mickey, has learned to behave even without the reward of the guitar lessons. And so the reversal design is, again, there's the baseline, there's the intervention. You then withdraw the intervention and then you can reinstate the intervention. And let's see if I can do this properly now. Almost, that goes up, yes. Okay, so here we've got the baseline, followed by the guitar intervention. Oh, this is weird, I can't do it this way. And then withdrawal of the guitar. And then when they reintroduced the guitar, look what happened. His behaviour was just absolutely perfect because he had learnt that if he behaves well, he gets guitar. Sounds simple. It's actually not quite that simple to do. Then the next type of baseline is to look at multiple baselines, where you might look at the situation at school and then at home, and you can institute it at home as well. And then there's the ABAC, which is when you introduce something altogether different. So you might have an ABAC design would be, I think the example I used in the class was looking at whether music might settle people during lunchtime if they were behaving badly there. So you do baseline. Condition B might be playing some sort of, like classical music, and then you'd withdraw that. And then condition C might be playing jazz, and then you'd withdraw that. And then condition D might be playing Bach or something like that. So you can then develop your applied behavioural analysis with multiple conditions, and each time you withdraw it back to the baseline so that you can see what happens with the behaviours. So I hope you think that that's fairly straightforward, because I think it probably is. And on your sheet you've got 3 exercises, so you can just choose one of those and come up with a applied behavioural design that fits one of those exercises, and just answer the questions that I've put there for you. One is a child who has autism, example 2 is a man diagnosed with dementia, and 3 is a day program for people with mental illness, and that's a group 1 in exercise 3. And the whole thing is just to develop some sort of schema that you can measure the behaviours. So have a think about that, and it's probably easy if you just email it to me, I think, and then I can do some track changes and send it back to you. Okay, cheers.